The morning sky above Helion Space Academy was a strange shade of silver. 2 suns rose behind the training towers, painting the academy grounds in cold light. The air was calm, but every student could feel it. Something unusual was going to happen that day. Commander Varen stood on the open parade ground, hands behind his back, his sharp eyes scanning the line of new recruits. The humans stood shoulder to shoulder with alien species. Tall insectoids, scaled reptilians, and soft-skinned beings of light. For years, the Academy had trained mixed races to fight together for the Galactic Defense Force. But this time, something different was coming. Rumors had already spread through every corridor. A war dragon was joining the Academy. No one believed it at first. War dragons were legends, ancient beasts from the planet Dravian 9, a race born from flame and metal. They had fought in the old wars, burned fleets, and destroyed empires. And now one of them was coming here to learn beside humans. The ground trembled slightly. Varen looked up. From the northern sky, a dark shape appeared. A transport shuttle, large and heavy, descending through the clouds. The sun glinted off its hull, revealing the mark of the Dragon Alliance. A low hum filled the air as the shuttle landed at the far end of the training field. Every cadet went silent. Even the alien recruits stopped breathing. The ramp opened with a hiss of pressure. Smoke poured out. A single figure stepped through, tall, massive, and terrifyingly graceful. His body was covered in dark, steel-blue scales that shimmered like molten glass. His wings folded tightly behind his back. His eyes burned like amber fire. It was him, the war dragon. Commander Varen's face stayed calm, but his pulse jumped. He forced a smile, hiding the old fear he thought he'd buried years ago. The last time he'd seen a war dragon, it was not on friendly terms. The dragon's claws clicked softly against the ground as he walked forward. He wore a control collar around his neck, standard procedure for high-energy species. Still, everyone could feel the heat that came from his body. "Welcome to Helion Academy," Varen said in a steady voice. "We are honored to have a representative of Dravian 9 join our ranks." The dragon didn't reply. His eyes moved slowly across the crowd, scanning, measuring. Every cadet avoided his gaze. Except one. A human girl sitting near the back of the line. Her name was Mira Solon, a second-year cadet. Average scores, quiet attitude, nothing special. But when the dragon's eyes met hers, something invisible passed between them, like a spark jumping across space. Mira felt her chest tighten. The world around her faded. For one short second, she could hear something. A deep voice echoing in her mind. "You are not afraid?" Her eyes widened. She looked around, but no one else seemed to hear it. The dragon walked closer. Each step made the ground vibrate. He stopped right beside her seat. The class held its breath. Then, to everyone's shock, he lowered himself and sat beside the human girl. The instructor's polite smile froze. Myra's heart hammered in her chest. She didn't dare move. The heat coming from the dragon's body made the air shimmer. She could smell metal, smoke, and something ancient, like the scent of burning stars. Whispers spread through the room. Why is he sitting there? Is he protecting her? No, maybe she's his handler. Commander Varen cleared his throat. "Cadets, maintain order," he said, though his voice trembled slightly. "Let's begin orientation." The holographic board behind him flickered to life, displaying the Academy's emblem. A human hand and a dragon's claw locked together. "Helion Academy exists to create unity," Varen continued. "Our strength lies in understanding, not fear. Every race, every being, must learn to fight as one." He paused, glancing toward the dragon. Even those once considered enemies. The dragon didn't respond. He kept his eyes forward, silent as a statue. But Mira noticed his tail moving slowly, curling and uncurling. A restless motion, almost nervous. The instructor began explaining rules, training schedules, and safety measures. Most cadets barely listened. Everyone's attention stayed on the massive figure sitting quietly beside a small human girl. Mira tried to focus on her datapad, Her fingers trembled. Then that voice came again. Deep, low, calm. "Do not fear me." She froze. The words weren't spoken aloud. They were inside her mind. She turned slightly. The dragon was looking straight ahead, not moving his mouth. "You can hear me," the voice said. "That is unexpected," Mira whispered under her breath. "Who are you?" The voice answered. "My name is Kaeldar, last of the Fire Wings. You may call me Kale." Myra's datapad slipped from her hand and fell to the floor with a loud clang. Everyone turned to look. Varen raised an eyebrow. "Cadet Mira? Everything all right?" She quickly nodded, her cheeks burning. "Why, yes, sir. Sorry, sir." Kaeldar's golden eyes glowed faintly. Mira could feel his mind, strong, ancient, and heavy with emotion. "You are different," he said. "There is a light in you I cannot understand." She didn't know what to say. Her thoughts raced. Was she dreaming? Was this some kind of test? Meanwhile, Commander Varen opened his control tablet to record the new student's data. The screen blinked as it scanned Kaeldar's energy signature. Then an alert flashed. "Warning. Dragon Protocol anomaly detected." Varen frowned. That message hadn't appeared in years. He quickly minimized the screen before anyone could see. But inside, a cold chill ran through him. He looked at Mira, a simple human girl, sitting beside the most dangerous creature in the galaxy. The same creature type that once destroyed entire colonies. Why her? Why did the dragon choose her? The session continued awkwardly. Varen gave the rest of his speech, but his mind wasn't in it. His eyes kept drifting toward Kaeldar. The dragon didn't move, didn't speak, but he seemed focused on Mira, almost protective. When the class ended, the cadets rushed out, whispering to each other. Some were excited, others terrified. Only Mira stayed behind. She stood slowly, glancing at Kaeldar. He turned his head slightly toward her. "Are you going to follow me now?" she whispered, trying to smile nervously. Kaeldar's eyes softened. "No, but I will watch over you." Mira swallowed hard. She didn't understand any of this. Why her? Why could she hear his thoughts? Commander Varen approached, trying to look calm. "Cadet Mira," he said, "please stay a moment." She nodded, feeling every muscle tense. Varen looked from her to the dragon, then back at her. "Are you comfortable sitting beside our new student?" "Yes, sir," she lied. The commander smiled faintly, but his eyes stayed sharp. "Good, because it seems he has taken quite an interest in you." Kaeldar's voice entered her mind again. Soft this time, almost amused. "He is afraid of me." Mira almost laughed, then stopped herself. "Everyone is," she whispered. The dragon turned to her, his gaze deep and unblinking. "You are not." Mira didn't answer. Varen dismissed them both. As she left the hall, she could still feel the dragon's presence behind her, like heat following her footsteps. High above, the Academy's surveillance drones scanned the field. Their sensors focused briefly on Kaeldar. Red symbols flickered across the screens in the control room. One technician frowned. "Sir, I'm getting strange readings from the new cadet. His neural energy is bonding with a human signature." "Which one?" the officer asked. The technician zoomed in. "Cadet Mira Solon." The officer frowned. "That's impossible." Down on the field, Kaeldar looked up, as if he could feel the surveillance eyes watching him. His pupils narrowed. He whispered quietly, a language older than any human tongue. And somewhere deep in the Academy's network, another warning blinked to life. Classified alert. War Dragon Link initiated. Commander Varen, standing in his office window, saw the message appear on his tablet again. His forced smile finally faded. He muttered to himself, "No, not again." Outside, Mira walked through the silver light of the twin suns, unaware that her life, and maybe the fate of two species, had just changed forever. The day after Kaeldar's arrival, the whole academy buzzed with rumors. Every hallway, every training pod, every lunch table whispered the same question. Why did the war dragon sit beside the human girl? Mira Solon tried to ignore it, but wherever she went, eyes followed her. Some were curious. Others were afraid. In the dining hall, a tall cadet named Jax smirked as she passed. "Careful, Mira," he said loudly. "You might get roasted if your dragon boyfriend sneezes." Laughter rippled around the tables. Mira forced a smile and kept walking. She sat in a quiet corner, away from the noise. But even there, she could feel it. A strange warmth inside her chest, like a heartbeat that wasn't hers. "You shouldn't let them speak that way." The deep voice echoed in her mind again. She froze. "Kael'thar?" she whispered under her breath. "You can simply call me Kael." She looked around the hall. The dragon was across the room, massive even while sitting, surrounded by instructors and security officers. He wasn't speaking. His mouth didn't move. Yet his voice filled her mind like a calm storm. "How are you doing this?" she whispered again. "You hear my mind. I speak through the link." They link. "When I sat beside you, our energies touched. Your flame responded." "My what?" she whispered louder this time. A few cadets gave her strange looks. Kael didn't answer. He only said, "You will understand soon." Later that day, the cadets gathered in the main flight chamber for simulator training. Giant pods lined the walls, each one capable of creating full combat environments. Commander Varen stood at the front, his face calm but his thoughts racing. He hadn't slept. That strange alert from yesterday, Dragon Protocol breach detected, kept flashing in his mind. He watched Kael'thar enter the chamber, the heavy steel floor trembling under his weight. The dragon moved with silent confidence, his tail brushing the floor, his wings folded tight. Mira entered moments later. Their eyes met briefly. She quickly looked away. Varen cleared his throat. "Today's exercise is team flight coordination. Each cadet will be paired with a partner. You'll practice movement synchronization inside the simulator." He paused. "Cadet Mira Solon and Kael'thar, you will train together." The room went silent. Someone gasped. "Sir," Mira said quietly. "Is that safe?" Varen forced a smile. "That's for the simulator to decide." Kael lowered his head slightly, his molten eyes glowing. "I will not harm you," he told her silently. Mira nodded nervously and stepped toward his pod. The hatch opened wide enough for the dragon's body to fit. She climbed inside, settling into her control chair. The simulator hummed to life. Lights dimmed. Screens surrounded them. In seconds, the world around them transformed into a vast battlefield above a red desert planet. Kael's wings spread wide. The simulation linked their neural signals automatically. Myra's hands gripped the control handles. Her heartbeat pounded in her ears. "Ready?" she whispered. "Follow my rhythm," Kael said in her mind. They took off. At first, their movements were rough. She leaned too fast, he turned too late. But slowly, something shifted. Mira began to feel his movements before they happened. Her thoughts matched his every turn, every dive, every breath. It was like dancing with fire. Kael's voice echoed softly. "You feel it, don't you? The connection between our minds." "Yes," she whispered, amazed. "It's like I'm inside your head, and I inside yours." The simulator's AI voice cut in. "Warning, neural synchronization at 67%. Increasing activity." Commander Varen's eyes widened from the control room. "That's impossible," he muttered. "No human can sync that high with a dragon." On screen, the simulation enemies appeared, robotic starfighters swooping in. Kael roared, his digital form spreading his wings and breathing fire. Mira guided the flight, weaving through explosions with perfect timing. The entire room watched in stunned silence. The simulator readout jumped again. Neural sync, 82%. "Shut it down," one technician said nervously. "Not yet," Varen whispered. "I need to see this." Inside the simulation, Mira felt energy flowing through her veins. Pure, golden light. Her hands moved on instinct, not thought. Kael's mind blended with hers, one heartbeat echoing through two bodies. Then a surge. The lights flickered. The air temperature spiked. "Commander!" the technician shouted. "We're detecting live energy transfer. That's not virtual." Varen slammed the shutdown command. The simulation blinked out. Inside the pod, Mira gasped for breath. Kale stood still, smoke rising faintly from his scales. The hatch opened with a hiss. Varen rushed forward. "Mira, are you hurt?" She shook her head. "No, I feel fine." Her voice trembled. "Actually, I feel stronger." Kale's eyes glowed brighter. "You carry the flame," he said quietly. Varen frowned. "What did he say?" Mira looked up. "He said something about the flame." Varen's heart sank. That word, the flame, it wasn't new to him. He'd heard it decades ago during the Dravian Wars. It was a classified term used only once in history, when a human and a dragon shared a psychic bond powerful enough to destroy a fleet. He didn't want to believe it, but here it was happening again. That night, the academy was silent. Most cadets slept, but Mira lay awake, staring at the ceiling of her dorm. Her mind still buzzed from the simulation. She could still feel Kale's presence, faint but warm, like a flicker of fire inside her chest. "You should sleep," his voice whispered. She smiled faintly. "You don't sleep, do you? Dragons dream with open eyes." "Why can I hear you all the time?" "Because the link is growing. I have touched your spirit. You have touched mine." "That sounds weird," she said softly. Kale chuckled, a deep rumble in her head. "It is, but it is rare. In all the stars, only a few minds ever truly connect." "Why me?" she asked. There was a long silence. Then the voice came, softer. "Because you are not like the others. You carry the same spark that once burned in the first Flameborn." Mira frowned. "What's a Flameborn?" Kale didn't answer. Instead, she felt sadness. Not her own, but his. A heavy, ancient grief. "Sleep now, Mira," he said. "Tomorrow they will test us again." The next morning, Commander Varen stood alone in his office. The report from the simulator glowed on his screen. Neural sync rate, 87%. Subject status, unstable. Alert. Classified phenomenon detected. Flame protocol. He rubbed his temples. "This can't be happening again," he muttered. He tapped his communicator. "Security Division, this is Commander Varen. I need full surveillance on Cadet Mirasolin and the War Dragon Kaeldar. Effective immediately." "Understood, sir." Varen looked out the window. Down below, on the training field, Mira and Kale were walking side by side. A small human girl and a massive dragon, their shadows overlapping perfectly under the twin suns. For a moment, Varen felt something strange. Not fear, but a flicker of hope. Then he saw his tablet blink again. A priority message from the Galactic Council. "Commander Varen, do not interfere. Observe only. The link must be studied. Any deviation from protocol will be considered treason." He exhaled slowly. "So it begins again," he whispered. That evening, Mira stood on the balcony overlooking the training field. The air was cool, and the stars burned bright above Helion. Kale stood beside her, wings folded like a cloak. His voice rumbled softly in her mind. "You are changing, Mira. The link grows stronger every hour." She looked up at him. "Is that bad?" "It depends," he said. "To some it means power. To others, danger." "Danger from who?" "From those who fear what we are becoming." Mira frowned. "You mean the council?" Kale didn't answer directly. He turned his head toward the horizon, where lights of ships glimmered faintly in the sky. "The stars are watching," he said, "and they remember what happened the last time a dragon spoke to a human." Mira felt a chill run through her. "What happened?" Kale's eyes glowed like molten suns. "A planet burned." She took a step back, staring at him in silence. And high above the academy, hidden drones recorded every word. Night covered Helion Academy like a silent storm. The stars above looked peaceful, but Commander Varen knew better. Peace never lasted long. Not when dragons were involved. He sat alone in his office, staring at the message from the Galactic Council glowing on his holoscreen. Observe the subjects. Do not interfere. The Flameborn protocol must remain contained. He read those words again and again. His chest tightened. The Flameborn protocol. A name he hadn't heard in 20 years. It wasn't a story, it was a nightmare. The last time a human and a dragon shared a full mind link. A city on Dravian 9 turned into ash. An entire planet screamed for weeks. And now, it was happening again. Varen stood and looked through the window at the training fields below. He saw two figures standing under the twin moons. A girl and a dragon. Mira Solon and Kael'thar. They didn't move, didn't speak. Yet the air around them shimmered faintly. A glow, invisible to most eyes. Varen's hands trembled slightly. "What are you two becoming?" he whispered. The next morning, training resumed. Mira woke up early, the voice of Kael already whispering in her head. "You didn't sleep much." She smiled weakly. "You can tell? I can feel your heartbeat. I feel everything." "That's creepy," she said, trying to laugh. Kael chuckled softly. "Perhaps, but I do not wish to frighten you." "I'm not scared," she lied. The link between them had grown stronger. She could sense his emotions now. Calm, curiosity, sometimes even sadness. But there were deeper layers too, locked away, heavy with pain. She felt that pain sometimes, like echoes of fire and screams buried in his memory. Today's lesson was tactical scenarios, a combat strategy session led by Commander Varen himself. The cadets gathered in the central dome, sitting in a wide circle. Varen entered, expression calm but eyes sharp. "Today," he said, "we will study the past. What happens when two powers meet and fail to understand each other." He tapped a button on his control pad. A hologram appeared. A burning planet, falling ships, collapsing cities. "The Dravian War," he said, "when humans and dragons fought side by side, until fear destroyed everything." The class watched in silence as the hologram showed old footage. A dragon and a human standing together, surrounded by fire. Then a blinding explosion. Varen turned toward Kael and Mira. "History repeats itself," he said quietly, "if we forget what caused it." Kael's eyes glowed faintly. "You speak of fear." His voice rumbled aloud, deep and resonant. "Yet you still fear us." Some cadets flinched. Varen met his gaze calmly. "I fear what cannot be controlled." Kael lowered his head. "Then perhaps control is your weakness." The room went still. The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. Mira looked between them nervously. "Please," she said softly. "This isn't helping." Varen exhaled and turned off the hologram. Class dismissed. After everyone left, he stopped Mira. "Stay a moment, Cadet Solon." Kael's eyes narrowed, but Varen raised a hand. "Just a conversation." Mira nodded. Kael stepped back, watching from the corner like a silent guardian. Varen spoke quietly. "You're linked to him, aren't you?" Mira hesitated. I don't know. It just happened." "Then you do hear his thoughts." She nodded slowly. Varen's jaw tightened. "Do you realize how dangerous that is?" "He hasn't hurt me," she said quickly. "He's protecting me." "Protecting you?" Varen's voice rose. "Mira, he's a war dragon. Their protection destroyed half of Orion's sector." Mira frowned. "You don't know him." Varen sighed deeply. "No, Mira. You don't know what he really is." She turned away, angry. "You're wrong." Varen stared at her for a long moment, then said softly, "The last time a dragon formed a link with a human, both of them died, and so did a million others." Mira froze. "What are you talking about?" He opened his data pad and showed her a classified image. A young woman and a silver-scaled dragon standing together, surrounded by fire. "They called her the Flameborn," Varen said. "She thought the bond was a gift. She thought it meant peace. Instead, it consumed them both." Mira stared at the picture in silence. The girl in the image looked barely older than her. "History doesn't have to repeat itself," Varen said gently. "But if this link grows stronger, you might not have a choice." That night, Mira couldn't stop thinking about his words. Flameborn. The name echoed in her mind like a heartbeat. She sat on the balcony, watching the moon's rise. The air shimmered faintly around her. Then she felt Kale's presence. Warm, powerful, calm. He landed softly behind her, the ground trembling under his weight. His wings folded, and his eyes glowed in the moonlight. "You heard him," she said. "You heard what he said about us." Kale nodded slowly. "Yes, and he is not wrong." Mira turned to face him, confused. "Not wrong? You mean this connection could destroy us?" Kale lowered his head. "If left unbalanced, yes. Our minds could merge too deeply. One will consume the other." "Then why didn't you tell me?" "Because the link also brings strength, unity beyond species. It is dangerous, but it is hope." "Hope for what?" Kale looked toward the stars. "For peace. For something that has never been done before. A dragon and a human standing as one. Not enemies. Not weapons." Myra's voice softened. "Then we'll control it together." He tilted his head slightly. "You believe you can?" "I have to." For a moment, silence hung between them. The wind carried the hum of distant engines and the faint glow of the academy lights. Then Kale's voice changed, low, warning. "We are being watched." Mira looked around. "What do you mean?" He raised his head, eyes scanning the dark sky. His pupils narrowed. From above, a faint red blink. A surveillance drone hovering at the edge of the dome. Kale's tail flicked. A single spark burst from his scales and hit the air. A pulse of heat. The drone exploded in silence. Mira gasped. "Kale, that was Academy Tech. They were recording our bond," he said calmly. "I will not be studied like an animal. But now Commander Varen will." "He already knows," Kale interrupted. Mira looked up at him. "Then what do we do?" Kale's eyes burned brighter. "We prepare." "Prepare for what?" His voice was heavy, filled with dread. "For the Council's decision. They will not allow this link to live." Far across the academy, alarms began to blink silently in Commander Varen's office. The screen flashed red. "Drone Unit 7, destroyed. Source, Dragon Energy Signature detected." Varen closed his eyes. "He's resisting already." He opened a secure channel. The Council emblem appeared, a circle of stars and fire. A cold voice spoke. "Commander Varen, you were told to observe, not engage." "I didn't engage," Varen said tightly. "But you should know, the dragon has begun destroying surveillance units. Then containment will begin. You will receive a control team within 48 hours. The link must be neutralized." "Neutralized?" Varen asked. "You mean, eliminate the human if necessary." The transmission cut off. Varen stood there, staring at the empty screen. His hands clenched into fists. He couldn't do it. He couldn't let them kill her. Not again. He opened a private file, an old recording from the war. A young woman's voice echoed from it. "Promise me, Varen, if it ever happens again, don't let them destroy the flame." His throat tightened. "I remember," he whispered. He turned toward the window, where the distant glow of Kale and Mira shimmered faintly under the stars. He knew the Council was already coming for them, and this time he wasn't sure he could stop it. The following morning, Helion Academy was quieter than usual. The skies above were clear, but something heavy lingered in the air. Tension. Every cadet could feel it. Commander Varen walked down the corridor, his boots echoing against the metal floor. His face was hard, his eyes sharp. He had just finished a secure meeting with the Council. Their message still rang in his ears. Neutralize the link. The girl is expendable. He couldn't do it. He wouldn't. But time was running out. Meanwhile, Mira sat in the training field, tracing shapes in the dust with her glove. Her head ached. For 2 nights straight, she had been hearing Kale's voice even in her dreams. Sometimes soft, sometimes distant. Sometimes it wasn't even words, just feelings. Fire, pain, memories that weren't hers. Kale stood nearby, silent as always. His wings were folded, his golden eyes fixed on the horizon. She looked up at him. "You're quiet today. Because I am thinking." "About what?" "About what happens next." Mira frowned. "You mean the council?" Kale nodded slowly. "They will come soon. They fear what we are." She sighed. "I don't blame them. Even I don't understand what we are." Kale's head turned slightly toward her. "Then it is time you did." Mira blinked. "You know something?" The dragon's eyes glowed faintly. "The truth was hidden from your kind. But the flame cannot stay buried forever." Before she could ask more, the ground beneath them vibrated. A soft rumble that grew louder. The Academy alarm flashed red across the sky dome. Energy surge detected. Sector 7. Kale's wings opened slightly. "That is me," he said quietly. "The link grows unstable." Mira stood up, alarmed. "Unstable? What does that mean?" Kale looked at her, his expression heavy. "It means if I lose control, the Academy burns." Within minutes, Commander Varen arrived with a team of technicians and guards. He barked orders. "Containment drones. Move to perimeter. Energy dampeners active." Kale stayed still, his wings spreading wide but not aggressive, as if trying to hold something back. "Mira, stay away from him," Varen shouted. "No," she yelled. "He's not attacking." The ground cracked under Kale's claws. Flames shimmered faintly along his scales. The air distorted with heat. He growled low and deep. "It's the bond. It's too strong. I can't hold it alone." Mira ran forward. Varen reached out to stop her. "Mira, don't." She ignored him. She placed her hand against Kale's warm chest, right over the glowing symbol near his collar. Instantly, light exploded around them. The guards shielded their eyes. The energy surge readings spiked off the charts. Inside the glow, Mira saw flashes, memories not her own. Worlds burning, dragons flying through fire, a human woman standing beside a silver-scaled dragon, both surrounded by light. Then, a voice whispered through the vision. "The flame-born must rise again." Mira gasped. The light faded. She stumbled back, breathing hard. Kale's body went still. The fire died down. The readings stabilized. Varen lowered his weapon. "What just happened?" Myra's eyes were wide. I saw things. I think I saw the past." Kale looked down at her. "You touched the heart of the flame. You calmed me. Only the one chosen could do that." "Chosen?" Varen repeated. "Chosen by who?" Kale's gaze turned toward him. "By the same force that created your kind. And mine." Varen frowned. "Enough riddles, dragon. Tell me the truth." Kale's wings folded back. The glow in his eyes dimmed slightly. "You think humans created peace. You think dragons were monsters. But long ago we were one species, two forms of the same flame." Mira whispered, "One species." Kale nodded. "When the universe was young, there were beings of both flesh and fire. Some became human, fragile but curious. Others became dragons, strong but alone. The Flameborn were the bridge between us. You are one of them." Mira stared at him. "That can't be true." Varen stepped closer, his voice low. "You're saying she's not fully human?" Kale's answer was soft. "Her blood carries the echo of the flame. A gift buried in your DNA, waiting for the right soul." Varen's mind raced. It explained everything, the connection, the psychic bond, the uncontrolled power. But it also meant the council would never let her live. He turned away, muttering to himself, "They'll destroy her, just like the last one." An hour later, Varen sat in his office, staring at Myra's file. Her genetic record blinked in red. Anomaly detected. Non-human marker. He knew what that meant. The council would send a termination order soon. He looked out the window again at Mira and Kale standing together in the field. Her hand rested on his forearm, and the dragon bowed his head gently toward her. There was no fear in her anymore, only understanding. Varen sighed. "They'll come for both of you," he said quietly. "And I don't know if I can stop them this time." That night, the academy was on lockdown. Drones patrolled the corridors. Guards moved in silence. Mira sat alone in her dorm room, staring at the glowing mark that had appeared on her wrist. A faint spiral of light that pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. She touched it gently. "Kale, what is this?" "It is the mark of the flame bond," he said in her mind. "It means our lives are now tied. What happens to one, happens to the other." Myra's breath caught. "You mean if I die, then I die too?" She shook her head. "No, that's not fair. I didn't ask for this." "Neither did I." His voice was calm, almost sad. "But perhaps it was meant to be. The universe has strange ways." Mira felt a tear roll down her cheek. "Kale, are you afraid?" There was a pause. Then softly, "Yes, but not for me. For you." Suddenly the lights flickered. The air vibrated with a low hum. Outside, a series of explosions echoed across the academy grounds. Mira jumped up. What was that? Kale's voice thundered in her mind. "They've come early. Stay where you are." Red alarms flashed through the corridors. "Alert! Unauthorized forces detected. Council security fleet inbound." Varen's voice came over the intercom. "All cadets to shelter. This is not a drill." Mira ran out of her dorm. Soldiers in black armor stormed through the halls. They weren't academy troops. Their armor bore the emblem of the Galactic Council. Kale burst through the outer wall, roaring. Flames erupted as his massive form shielded Mira from the debris. "Kale!" she cried. "We have to go." He lowered his wing, letting her climb onto his back. His scales were burning hot, but she didn't care. As they lifted off the ground, laser fire ripped through the air. Commander Varen stood on the command tower watching the chaos. He pressed a hidden switch on his wrist console, opening a secret exit in the western hangar. "Go, girl," he whispered. "Get out while you still can." As Kale and Mira soared into the night sky, the academy burned behind them, red light reflecting off his wings. Varen watched them disappear into the clouds. He knew the council would call him a traitor, but for the first time in years he smiled. Because deep down he believed the same thing Mira did. The Flameborn had returned. The night sky was a storm of light. Kale's wings cut through the clouds as he flew over the burning ruins of Helion Academy. Laser beams flashed below, chasing them like angry fireflies. Mira held on tightly to the dragon's back, her hair whipping in the cold wind. She looked down and saw explosions tearing through the academy grounds. Everything she knew, gone in minutes. "Kale!" she shouted over the wind. "They're destroying everything." "The council wants to erase the truth," Kale replied, his deep voice echoing in her mind. "They fear what we might become." "Then tell me," she cried, "what is the truth?" Kale didn't answer right away. His wings flared as he dove between mountain peaks, hiding from the tracking drones above. Finally, he said, "The truth is not about what we are, but what they did to us." Mira frowned. "What do you mean?" "Long ago, before the wars, your ancestors and mine fought side by side as flame-born beings of balance. But the council could not control us. So they divided us, broke the bond between human and dragon, and made the galaxy forget." Myra's heart pounded. "They split us apart?" Kale's eyes burned brighter. "Yes, they feared our power, the power of unity. The Flameborn could reshape matter itself, heal planets, end wars. But to the council, such power was a threat. So they erased history," Mira whispered, "and hunted every Flameborn they could find." Mira felt cold inside. The bond mark on her wrist pulsed faintly with light, matching the beat of Kale's heart. "So, we're the first in centuries?" Kale nodded. "And perhaps the last, unless we survive what comes next." They landed deep within the cliffs of Reiner Valley, where molten rivers glowed beneath stone bridges. It was quiet there, ancient. Kale folded his wings, his scales glowing softly in the darkness. Mira slid down from his back, her boots touching the hot ground. "Where are we?" "A place forgotten," Kale said. "The last sanctuary of the Flameborn." As he spoke, the ground rumbled. A massive door hidden in the rock wall opened slowly, revealing a chamber filled with glowing crystals and carvings. Myra's eyes widened. The walls showed ancient paintings, humans and dragons standing together, fighting side by side against armies of machines. "It's real," she whispered. "Everything you said." Cale bowed his head. "Yes, this is where it began. And where it ended." He walked to the center of the chamber. A circular stone rose from the floor, etched with runes that shimmered when Cale touched them. A holographic figure appeared, not a dragon, not a human, but something in between. Its voice was calm, old, and echoing. "If you are seeing this, then the flame has been reborn." Mira stepped forward slowly. "Who are you?" "I am Orin, last guardian of the Flameborn archives. You carry the same spark that once united our worlds." Mira swallowed. "What does the flame want from us?" "To restore balance. The Council's rule was built on fear. Their technology drains the life from worlds. Only the Flameborn can reignite the stars they've darkened." Cale's tail flicked softly. "Then we must fight them." "Not yet," the hologram said. "First, you must awaken the bond completely. Only then will the flame answer your call." The image faded. The chamber went silent again. Mira turned to Cale. "Awaken the bond? How?" Cale looked uneasy for the first time. "By sharing essence, flame and soul. It is dangerous." She frowned. "Dangerous how?" "If we are not in sync, even one heartbeat off, the flame could consume us both." Mira hesitated. "But if we don't do it, then we will never be strong enough to face the Council." She looked down at the glowing mark on her wrist, then back at him. "Let's do it." Cale's eyes narrowed. "Are you sure, little one?" Mira smiled faintly. "You've saved me twice already. I think I owe you this much." The dragon lowered his head. His chest began to glow with deep orange light. Mira stepped closer, placing her hand over the light. Instantly, fire raced up her arm. Not burning, but alive. Her mind filled with visions. Stars being born, galaxies spinning, dragons flying through the cores of suns. And through it all, Cale's voice whispered softly, "We are one flame, one life, one will." The light grew brighter, engulfing them both. When it finally faded, Mira fell to her knees, breathing hard. Her eyes were glowing golden, like Cale's. The mark on her wrist had transformed into a ring of symbols that pulsed with gentle fire. Cale's voice came through the bond, clearer than ever. "It is done. The Flameborn lives again." But peace didn't last long. Outside the cave, thunder rolled. Not from nature, but from engines. Cale turned his head sharply. "They found us." Mira ran to the cave entrance. Dozens of black ships were descending from the clouds, bearing the insignia of the Galactic Council. "They're fast," she said. "Too fast," Cale growled. "They tracked our bond energy." A voice echoed through the valley, amplified by a loudspeaker. "Mira Solon, Kael'thar, you are under arrest for violation of Galactic Law 17A. Forbidden fusion. Surrender or be destroyed." Mira clenched her fists. "Forbidden fusion? They mean us." Cale's tail lashed against the ground. "Then they shall learn what the flame truly is." The first wave of drones fired. Cale spread his wings, flames bursting from his scales. The valley lit up with fire as he leaped into the sky, releasing a roar that shook the mountains. Mira watched in awe as bolts of plasma collided with his fiery breath, lighting up the night like 1,000 suns. But then, one drone slipped through, heading straight for her. "Mira!" Cale roared. She raised her hand instinctively, and fire erupted from her palm. The drone exploded mid-air. She stared at her own hand, eyes wide. I did that." Cale's laughter echoed in her mind. "The flame answers its bearer." He swooped down, landing beside her. His wings folded around her like a shield as smoke rose from the battlefield. The Council ships began to retreat, but a final transmission played over the comms. "You can't hide forever, Flameborn. The Council will cleanse the stars if it must." Then silence. Mira stood beside Kale, watching the enemy ships vanish into the clouds. She looked up at him. "They'll keep coming, won't they?" "Yes," he said, "until we burn the truth across the stars." She smiled, tired but fierce. "Then let's start burning." Kale's golden eyes flared. "As you wish, Flameborn." Together, they turned toward the rising dawn. The first rays of light touched their faces, human and dragon, side by side. And for the first time in centuries, the universe felt the warmth of the flame again. The stars above Reiner Valley were fading into dawn. But Mira and Kale knew peace wouldn't last. The Galactic Council's ships had retreated only to prepare something worse, something far more powerful. Kale stood on the edge of a cliff, his scales glowing faintly in the early light. His wings were scarred from the last fight, smoke still rising from the ground beneath his claws. Mira walked beside him, the symbol on her wrist shining like living fire. Her heart was steady now. Fear was gone. "They'll be back soon," she said quietly. Kale nodded. "Yes, and this time they won't come to capture. They'll come to destroy." She looked up at him. "Can we stop them?" The dragon's eyes glowed. "Alone, no. But the flame was never meant to be alone." Far above the planet, the Council's flagship, Dominion, hovered like a black moon. Inside, Admiral Kor watched the battlefield below through the glass viewport. "Prepare the Starbreaker," he ordered. A soldier hesitated. "Sir, that weapon will vaporize half the planet." Kor's expression was cold. "So be it. The Flameborn cannot be allowed to live." Deep inside the ship's core, energy began to gather. A swirling storm of white light. Back on the surface, Mira felt the air shift. The sky above them flickered, turning pale as the Starbreaker charged. Kale growled. "They are summoning death." Mira clenched her fists. "Then we'll show them life." She stepped onto a rock ledge, raised her arm, and closed her eyes. The mark on her wrist flared bright gold. All across the valley, the ground trembled. Not in fear, but in answer. The ancient runes carved into the mountains began to glow. One by one, stone dragons, long buried beneath the earth, began to rise. Kale watched in awe. "You awakened them." Mira smiled faintly. "The flame remembers its children." The stone dragons spread their massive wings. Fire lit their empty eyes. "Let's end this," Mira said. Kale spread his wings beside her. Together, the sky exploded with light as the Council fleet descended. Dozens of ships in formation, engines roaring. Lasers rained down, striking the cliffs, but Kale shot upward, flames streaming from his mouth. Mira held on tightly as they soared through clouds of smoke and fire. "Straight ahead," she shouted. "The flagship," Kale roared. "Hold on, Flameborn." He dove through the storm, weaving between burning debris. The other awakened dragons followed, unleashing torrents of fire at the enemy ships. For the first time in centuries, dragons filled the sky again, fighting not for domination, but for freedom. Inside the Dominion, Admiral Kor shouted, "Fire the Starbreaker." The weapon's energy cannon began to open. Its light grew blinding, a miniature sun forming between the ship's wings. Kale saw it and knew what was coming. "If that fires, this world dies." Myra's voice echoed in his mind. "Then we stop it." Kale flew straight toward the flagship. Blasts of plasma hit his wings, tearing through scales, but he didn't slow down. Mira stood on his back, her hands glowing with fire. Each time a drone tried to attack, she raised her palms, and the fire leapt from her body like living lightning. They broke through the defensive shield, diving toward the main cannon. Kor's crew panicked. "They're coming straight for us." "Hold position," Kor barked. "They can't survive the Starbreaker's blast." But Kale and Mira didn't stop. At the last moment, Kale folded his wings and slammed into the cannon's core. The explosion was deafening, a shock wave of light and flame that tore through the ship's armor. Mira was thrown off his back, tumbling into the sky, but Kale caught her midair, wings burning, eyes glowing with fury. "Mira," his voice echoed weakly, "the cannon will overload." If it explodes here, it will destroy everything. She looked up at him, terrified. What can we do? We carry it into the void. Her eyes filled with tears. That will kill you. Kale's voice was calm. I was born in fire. I will return to it. She shook her head. No, I'm not losing you too. He looked at her softly. Then come with me. Without waiting for her answer, he turned upward, soaring toward the blackness of space, carrying the unstable Starbreaker core on his back. Mira held on tightly, tears streaming across her face. Below, the fleet scattered, their sensors screaming with radiation warnings. In the command deck, Admiral Kor watched in disbelief as Kale and Mira vanished into the upper atmosphere. The world fell silent. Kale's wings were slowing, the air thinning. The fire around him burned blue now, the last color before the void. Mira, you must let go, he said weakly. She shook her head. I can't. Our bond will live on. The flame cannot die. She held his claw. Kale. He smiled faintly, the first and last smile she ever saw from him. Then he roared, a sound that shook the stars themselves and released all his power. The explosion lit up the entire sky. For a moment, it was as if a new sun had been born above Reiner. Then silence. Hours later, the wreckage of the Council fleet drifted across the atmosphere. The Dominion was gone. The threat was ended. Mira woke up in a field of glass. The heat of the explosion had melted the rocks into crystal. She was alive. Barely. The mark on her wrist still glowed, but faintly now, just a small, steady ember. Kale? She whispered. No answer. Only the wind. She closed her eyes, tears falling silently. Thank you, my friend. Then a flicker of light. In the reflection of the glassy ground, she saw golden fire forming a shape, wings, eyes, a faint outline of Kale. His voice came softly through her mind. The flame never dies, Mira. I am part of you now. She smiled through her tears. Then let's keep it burning. The golden light faded into her wrist. The symbol flared one last time, brighter than ever, and then steadied. Years later, stories spread across the galaxy. They said a human girl with golden eyes appeared whenever worlds were dying. They said a shadow of a dragon followed her across the stars. Some called her the Flameborn. Others called her the Reigniter of Suns. But those who truly knew whispered her real name. Mira Solon, the girl who sat beside a war dragon and changed the fate of the galaxy.